The area?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm already on?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Which mic is hot? This one or the other one?
That one.
Okay, I'm gonna have to move over then. I don't have to wear a headset this week, so that's a bonus. Can everybody hear me? I'm sorry, folks. You're going to have to bear with me as I put a throat lozenge in my mouth because I'm freaking... It's been a very rough week. But I'm still here. We got about 47 people in the chat right now. We're waiting for the chat room to fill up. Let everybody know that we're going live. Just getting the word out real quick, folks. When you say, please join us, is that a question or are you telling them? You're asking them. So I say, please join us with a question mark. Sounds like I'm begging. Yeah. I'm not begging anybody to be my friend or to listen to my show or to hear me prattle. You either like it or you don't. Got a comment that my wife was reading me last night. some guy saying, I am done. I am so done. What is this? The Josh Turner show? You get a guest on there and you talk and blah, 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 blah. And, yeah, actually it is the Josh Turner show. Yeah, it is actually my show. That's what we do. So.
Heck, I really didn't get that comment because I'm the one who edited the show, and if you look at your waveform and compare it to Nick Valente's waveform, like you just visually, you can see who did the most talking, and it was like 50-50. So, I have no idea.
Nick didn't come on the show with 3 hours of material. We were going to talk our discussions that we had about Dogman. We were going to bandy back and forth. That was the whole thing. And the same thing goes with all my guests. I tell them this is not an interview. Okay. Early on, when I did the show, people wanted to hear me recount people's stories. That was my strong suit. That's what we were doing. So when you come on my show, you're going to talk, I'm going to talk, and I'm going to give my opinion, you're going to give me your opinion, and that's how we do it. I don't do interviews. I do discussions. If you see the description on there, it said a discussion between Josh Turner and Nick Valente. And I like Nick a lot. He's a good friend. I like him. He's a good dude. But every guest that comes on, you know, most of them aren't going to have 2 or 3 hours of content. And there's a lot of stuff that I would like to throw at them, and then they can give me their feedback on it. And that's what takes 2 or 3 episodes, you know, because they're going to give you their opinions about stuff, and you give everybody your opinions about stuff, and you go back and forth, and then you end up, you know, with a show. So, you know, people complaining.
Well,
you know,
I mean, interview is kind of a robotic term. It just kind of implies that you have a series of questions prepared for a certain person, and your conversation is not going to go outside of that. Discussion means you're just two people talking. Which is the whole idea of the show. That's the whole concept of the show. So if you're done because you don't like that concept, then bye. Okay? See ya. We hit 13,000 subscribers, so we have about 12,999 other great people to listen, so it doesn't matter. Well, we have well over 13 now, but we also have a lot of listeners on Spotify and other platforms. So yeah, altogether with actually just independent of YouTube, we have about 26 to 28,000 monthly listeners. So besides YouTube? Yep. Yeah. So we have a pretty big audience, and that's not bragging. That's just what I tell Ryan all the time is slow and steady and being consistent, which he hasn't been doing lately. And but that's because we've had a lot of problems. Ryan has been trying to get his technical stuff squared away and get it figured out. And I hope that eventually that will be ironed out, and that you folks will be able to get a show every Sunday like we had originally planned. Kind of had a hard time getting Ryan to grasp that at first. Like, look, this really needs to be something that comes along. Got a message you need to read. All right. It's up to you. Well, it's because of this. Well, I can scoot it over. Yeah, I might need to. Yeah. Or we could just move this setup over. You know, move the camera over some. It'll be easier just to move the mic boom. I was just told by our technical person that watches off out of the studio that we need to move. Yes, ma'am, I will move. All right.
And here's the thing too, folks. I've gotten offers from sponsors. I've gotten offers from people to do other shows and stuff, but they want me to dance to a certain tune, and I just don't. The thing is too, you never know what's going to happen. You can get, demonetized for anything at all. Something you say that, YouTube doesn't agree with, and we're not making, that's all right. It's not going to hurt anything. We're not making a ton of money because we cut back on the commercials. If we left our commercials in place, we would have made a lot more money this past month than we did. But we cut the commercials. We wanted the commercials because it destroys the continuity of what we're talking about. And so I want you, the listeners, to get the full experience. And I just think that that's what's correct, is getting the stories and getting them to you, and you being able to listen to me. That will always be my priority, and that will be more important than trying to make money. Making money is secondary. All this was to me was, it never started out as like, hey, I'm trying to make money from this. I just did this because it was something I enjoyed doing, and the money is just to keep the show going. If it turns into something I can do more often, more regularly, like maybe drop another episode during the week, because if I didn't have my other job, then that's what I would do. I would probably drop 2 regular episodes a week and then probably do a 2-hour Q&A, and then that would be it. But you can't do that because right now, Texas was hit by a horrible winter storm. We're seeing the fallout of that right now, and a lot of people have suffered and are suffering, and so we have a ton of work. We have so much work, we don't know what to do. And if you're in the Austin area and you want part-time work, you want full-time work, you need a job, hit me up, because we are hurting for people bad right now. I mean, we have so much work, we don't know what to do with it, because everybody's pipes burst and there's tons of fire watches going on, and we just need help right now. I've been working. Anthony's been working. All of my guys are working. We had guys that were stuck on post for an entire week. When I was talking last week to my friends Ken and Lyle and what's his name, Nick Redfern and Vic, I told all of them that my guys were stuck on post for like an entire week. They were trapped. I mean, they're running out of food. They're running out of water. It was a miserable time. This has been a very, very rough month for me. My cousin Coco's house burned down on Valentine's because of a space heater. And so that was pretty devastating. All my cousins ended up homeless. And then my sister had a minor stroke. One of my sisters, my older sister, Regina, Anthony's mom, she had a minor stroke. And then my mother had a heart attack and a stroke, if you can believe that. So things have not been easy lately. It's been hard. Things have been really hard. I need some prayer and I need some good thoughts. I need some good energy from you guys, man. Just trying to find a piece of property, and every time we do something, it seems to fall through and not work out. And because we got 1 million people moving here every day, because our way of life is being totally swept away. I think we're all just kind of feeling a little defeated. Sometimes it feels like things aren't going to get better, but they will. So let's I'm going to start by reading the names of the these are the people that help support the show. You want to read this?
Yeah. So a big, very special thank you to all of our Patreon patrons or our Patreon producers who pledge a certain amount of money every month to give to the show, starting with Rudy Gutierrez, Andrea Krask, Patrick Nickerson, Shannon, no last name, just a first name, Dick Richards, Robert Harris, Bobby Atrestein, Larry, Lori, I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name, Weatherman, Joyce Burnett, Wendy Page Williams, Earl Bowers, Barbara Blendy, John Doherty, Martin Hertel, Tara Fusilier, Chris Clough, Lou, Curtis Turner, Denise Keller, Philip Morn, Loretta Sumka, Alexander Murphy, Matthew Durgo, Chris Smith, and last but not least, Ralph Ayu. Thank all of you
Chris
so very
Clough.
much. Yeah, I said him.
Yeah, it's Clough. Is pronounced as Clough.
Yeah. And if you want to be a Patreon patron yourself and have your name read out on the live streams and given credit for being a patron, just you can find the link to the Patreon and any of our latest episodes in the description down below the video. So just click on that and it'll take you straight to our Patreon page.
So, anybody got any questions about the paranormal stuff?
Don't see a lot of questions yet, but I see a lot of support.
What does that say? Titan, thank you for your donation. It says, Josh, remember it comes to pass, not to stay, bro. Blessings on all y'all. Thank you for your dedication to us.
Thank you very much, Titan.
My mother was actually talking about having her come on the show and talk. At one point, I was recently talking to my mom about that because she has some stories to tell. And I don't want her to leave this earth yet because I want that to happen. And she's a very strong woman. She's actually died. My mother has actually died. She was dead for a few minutes, and she had a near-death experience that really scared her. And helped her, I think, to become a better person, because after that our relationship changed and we became a lot closer. And so I hope my mother gets better.
So we have a question here. Oh, dang. Well, first off, we have a $100 donation from Like and Subscribe saying positive vibes and aloha. Thank you very much. That's very, very generous of you.
Thank you very much.
It's amazing.
Very nice.
Well, we had a question here I can't find it now, but it was something along the lines of, do you think that when loved ones visit you in dreams, I guess departed loved ones, that it's like for a warning or for a reason, or that they, if it's just a dream, or I mean, just, I guess they were asking what your take was on that.
What was it again? I was reading another one.
Basically, that they were asking what you think about
Loved ones visiting you in dreams?
Yeah.
Yes, that happens. My grandmother came to me in a dream in 2005, and I changed my life from that. I stopped being a stupid thug and became something better. Gregory Ellison says, you have no idea how many hours of fun you have given me. You ever get an update on the Dogman story in Canada where the guys were sleeping in the huge trucks and Dogman climbed up? Yeah, I'll call the guy Clint. And Clint I did actually speak to him one other time after that. He quit logging. So something like that happens. You rethink your life decisions, I guess, and you change. Funny thing is, here's a weird sidelight to that. There's always these weird sidelights that come up after stuff like that happens. And one of the things that Clint told me and my team was that at that time I didn't have a team, but he told me my brother. And, one of the things he said was that his wife had a Bigfoot encounter, and he never knew that. They were married for like 5 or 6 years, and she never told him because she thought, well, if I tell this guy what I saw, he's gonna think I'm crazy. But then when he came home and told her all this nightmare that went on with him, it kind of changed things and put things in perspective. And she was like, okay, now I can tell you what happened. The interesting thing about that story, and I'm hoping that I'm telling this correctly, because I believe it was that story, the Bigfoot. I believe she was one of 3 that I know of for sure. The Bigfoot that she saw was blonde. It had like blonde hair, like blondish looking hair. So that was weird. The dog man that he saw, I believe, was just blackish brown. So, but he was just like, yeah, it was just these nightmare creatures crawling on my truck. That was from the Dogman Encounters radio. Here's the thing. I got a lot of friends in this business. I know I've made a lot of good pals in this business that have supported me and, stuck by me, through all the crap that I've had to go through with some of these other podcasters and people. And, when I say something, when I tell people and I give people advice, like I recently was trying to give a fellow podcaster that's trying to get going, I gave them advice and they didn't really take it. And I'm going like, look, when I tell you something about someone, I'm telling you from the heart. I'm telling you the absolute truth about this person or that person. I'm not talking trash. I'm not coming from a place of jealousy. I always try to come from a place of love and understanding as best I can. But I have little patience for nonsense and charlatans and frauds and liars and rip-off people, If you want to be successful in this business, the only thing I can tell you is, and I'm mildly successful right now, but it takes a lot of work and you got to have integrity, and you got to work. You got to put in the work. My life has no free time. I'm sitting across from Anthony. How much free time do we have? I mean, honestly,
very, very little.
I mean, we're dealing with the show 24/7. If I'm not doing the security company,
there aren't enough hours in the day.
There's not, and so I was talking to a fellow contractor the other day. He's a guy that works with us, and sometimes I work for him, sometimes he works for me. We've been working together we worked at another very large company, the largest security company in Austin at one time. And he still works with us. I've known him since 2003. And we had a fire watch going, and he stopped by and we started talking. I had to work this past weekend. I was sitting post. And he said something that our old boss, a guy named Mr. Jackson, who's a very good guy, ex-Marine, solid guy, he said, you can't trust anybody in this business. And he was talking about the security business. And he's right. You just really cannot trust people. I mean, people are very not trustworthy. I mean, I've had to deal with so many snakes and so many people who've tried to rip us off and tried to just, I mean, things were easier when I was not having to do, deal with this legitimate business world, so-called legitimate business world. It was so much easier, because people knew that if they messed around, you'd stomp them, and now it's like you have to do everything, whatever. And everybody knows that there's no real consequences. So that their morality just goes out the window. And I've had to deal with that for like 13 years now of doing my own business. It's been hard. And then I go into this realm, into this arena, and it's just as dirty and cutthroat as can be. It's just as bad as doing the security thing. It's like, if somebody wants one of your accounts, then they'll do whatever they can to take it, to snake it from you. That's how it is in security. You have very few people you can trust or rely on. I have a small handful of people that I do business with and have been for a decade, and those are the people I trust. I have a hard time trusting people, in this business. And it's like that now, 5-6 years in this paranormal, world. And you have very few people you can trust. I mean, you can count on, well, for me, probably both hands, I can count, like 7-8 people that you can really rely on, and there's so many people out there that are just underhanded backstabbers, and you just got to be careful. There's a lot of them out there talking, doing shows, just taking people's stories and turning them into Star Trek episodes and just making up crap about other people and saying things and and they're pointing the finger at you while you're pointing the finger at them. And it's like the cartoon, like which one's the bad guy, And I try to be as fair and honest and as complete as I possibly can, and I try to do people justice. When you're kind enough to open up and give me your story, I don't want to mess it up. I try to do the best I can, and I'm not saying I'm like the greatest person in the world, but I try to be a person of integrity. I have a good reputation in my chosen profession, and prior to doing the paranormal thing, and I have a pretty decent reputation now in the paranormal world. There's not many people that can say bad things about me unless they're lying, but that's the thing. People will do that because they're jealous. They will make up stuff. They will lie. I had another podcaster get on his feed and just start slandering the crap out of me, and I had to call up there and get in it and with him, and it's just, I had to defend myself because the guy was just going straight off on me, and I was like, this dude is just completely out of hand. And it's to the point now to where there's a handful of people in this business that I just cannot stand there. I can't even stand to hear their names, because every time their name is brought up, it's something negative where they're messing with people's groups, or they're, attacking people, making stuff up about people, and it's not, anything to concern yourself with unless you're one of those people that's being taken in by them. And unfortunately, I see some of my listeners being taken in by them and their nonsense. And I'm going like, I wish I could make you understand, like, who you can trust. And I'm not trying to sit up here and tell you, that, oh, listen to me and only me, because that's not true. I'm not the only person you can trust, but I want you to know that I am one of the people that you can trust. You can look at me and trust me. Yeah, I have an angry face and I get upset, but I get upset with evil nonsense and just ridiculousness and pretenders. And, and I say evil because when you actively deceive people and talk about people and say things that you have no idea if it's true or not, and you're just spouting it out of your mouth, which a lot of these people do, that's evil. And you're evil. And I will tell you you're evil. Period. Bottom line. And so I just wanted to get that out of the way, You know, if you want to go and listen to other people's shows, by all means, go ahead. But I could tell you right now, you're going to get the most fair, most honest, most, you know, whatever. I'm going to bring you my best. And that's why I like Ryan, because Ryan's one of the very few people who's very honest. I want to tell everybody something about Ryan Tremblay. And I hope that this doesn't, you know, one of these days, maybe Ryan becomes a different person and starts acting a fool. I doubt that's going to happen, but he's been very honest with me. Our friendship started out by him attacking me. And that sounds weird when you say he's a very open, honest, good guy with integrity. I'll tell you why I like Ryan, because he was defending somebody from me, because I was the big bad wolf and I was attacking this poor, helpless, worthless individual that he was doing a show with. And he was defending that guy because that guy had told him his side of the story. When Ryan came at me and was like, "Look, man, I'm not going to let you attack my friend and do all these things you're doing," and I told Ryan, I said, "Look, time will tell. You're going to see who's the contender and who's the pretender, who's the real deal." And I told him, "I'm not going to ask you to make a decision right now, boy," but because I was pretty mad, so I was like, look, but I said, "You will eventually see." You know what I mean? Cream rises to the top. This guy you're dealing with is not a good guy. He's not a nice guy. He's not, and he's lying. And all you can do is just keep going, doing what you're doing, and eventually you're going to see, the truth. And I didn't pressure him. And I encouraged him to just don't take my word for it. Don't take his word for it. Our actions will speak for us. And they did. And eventually he figured it out. And I always respected Ryan, because there were times back in the old days when I went to war with people, and I'm talking seriously going to war with people, and there would be one or two guys on the other side, and I was like, those are good guys. Those were really good guys. And I felt bad that they were following bad people, bad leaders, that were making bad decisions and doing bad things. And it wasn't their fault. They just got caught up because they were their loyalty, which is a good and admirable trait, got them caught up. That's what happened to Ryan. Ryan's loyalty to this snake individual, put me and him at odds. It's not his fault. It was never his fault. But that showed me the way that he stuck up for his friend, that he thought he was his friend, showed me his true character and showed me his loyalty. And I thought, this is a person who I want to be friends with, because he will defend me, the way he defended that guy. But even more so because I'm going to show him what a true friend is and how a true friend acts and how someone treats someone with dignity and kindness and respect, because that's something he deserved, which he wasn't getting from that other person. Now that person goes on a campaign on Twitter like every day. I've been backstabbed. I'm this, I'm that. No, sir. That is not what happened. Okay. You were the one that put the knife in the back, and now you're turning around and you're crying out as you strike someone. Okay. So, Ryan, I've had people bringing heat down on him, and I'm going like, he's not the bad guy. He is absolutely not the bad guy. And I wasn't even going to get involved until my wife saw what that individual did, taking Ryan's idea and stealing it, because Ryan was still trying to be friends with this person, because he's a nice guy. He wants to give everybody a second, third, and fourth, fifth chance. Not me. I'm not like that. But he did. And so, this person goes and they do what they do. And I was like, this is totally just, and my wife, she's a little firecracker, She didn't wait for me or Anthony or anybody to give her the okay or go ahead. She just went straight off and went after that dude because she loves Ryan. And she's like, there's no way I'm going to let this person attack him. And even now, Ryan is not really publicly defending himself or speaking out about it. And with me, I'm just going to come real at you. I'm gonna come real. I'm not gonna fake you. I don't fake the funk, man. And what you see is what you get. If somebody gives me a story and it's BS, that's on them. You know, I gave the story the way that they told me to give it, you know, and, you know, it's on them, you know? And so, but for me, there's no fake, you know, I'm not going to come at you with flashy fraud, you know, whatever. I'm a really super nice guy. No, I'm a grouch at times. You know, I'm a sinner. We all are. We sin. Every once in a while, I'll take a drink. You know, I don't go on benders anymore, and everybody's got a past. But what you see is what you get. Like, I own up to my stuff. You know, when my day comes, all you can say about me is that, you know what, this guy had a passion for what he did, and he did the best he could. You know. I couldn't make any promises, folks. I hope that when my day comes, that God finds me worthy and allows me, you know, or maybe I have to come back. Who knows what's going to have to happen, or maybe go into a timeout. Hopefully I don't end up in the really bad place. But at least I know that I did the best I could. And that's all I've ever been able to do, is the best I can. Sometimes I feel defeated. Sometimes I feel like things are down, chips are down. But I'm never going to come out here and just fall flat on my face, you know, and I'm going to give you everything I have every time I come out on the air. You're going to get the best of Josh Turner, of Wolf. You're going to get me. And I've always done that. And I know a lot of guys back in the day that followed me, they'd follow me through Hades. And to this day, they're like, we'll follow you through anything. Because when the chips were down and their backs were to the wall, I was the one that always came through. Not bragging, just being honest. I threw myself out there to defend them and to protect them, you know. And that's the kind of person I am. And if you come after me and mine, then the only thing that's going to help you is if you beg God. Because, you know, it's just not something you want to do. And what you see is what you get with me. So, anyways, we had a donation. Did you want to read that off?
Yeah, we had a super sticker for $10 sent by Amy. Thank you, Amy. That was very nice of you. We got a $24.99 donation sent by Sir Paul saying, prayers for your mom. Love your show. You're my favorite podcast. Your thoughts on Phil Schneider and his story of alien firefight EXT. I don't know what that last part is, but. And then we have another one that's a little bit further back from Lamp of Light for $20.
I'll be right back.
Okay.
So somebody had asked me the other day, we're going to start talking about stuff here, the Elisa Lam case that happened at the Cecil Hotel. There is actually, and I keep falling asleep, I can't even finish it. It's on Netflix, and it discusses that case, and it's a 4-part series on Netflix. And they discuss the Elisa Lam case, and there's a lot of weird stuff in that case. It was ruled an accidental drowning. This young girl from Canada actually ended up falling into a cistern and drowning. Some people believe that she was put in there. There were people that believed that it was a guy that was into black metal named Morbid. Turns out that Morbid wasn't even in the country when she died, so that couldn't have been him. But he was a year before. He was actually there and singing and doing music. And some of the lyrics that were coming to this guy were very weird and ominous. It was like, this woman drowns. She's from China. It was like so weird. And like, you know, it was like the year before, like it was the February before in 2012. It was like the February before that she died, and he was there. And then the following February, she died. It was such a weird place, and it says so many people have died in that hotel. Yes, that's true. And so it's such a weird place. It was the inspiration for American Horror Story when they did Hotel. That's what the inspiration was. It was that, and then kind of the H.H. Holmes, the murderer from Chicago. And so, anyways, they said that somebody just said it right there. That she was basically bipolar, and that she had crawled in there and was hiding or whatever. But it's a very weird thing because on that 14th floor was where the serial killer, the Night Stalker, Richard Ramirez, very disgusting, vile individual. Well, all serial killers are, but him in particular. And he was up on that floor, and so it was weird. I mean, like with her coming off of her meds and having the mental issues, it makes me wonder, like, was she seeing something? Because some people are in tune with things like that, and they will see things that other people cannot see. I once worked at a place, and Anthony, you know about this place, the Garden Terrace.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I worked there too.
Mm-hmm. Before we worked there was a woman. It wasn't called Garden Terrace; it's called something else. But there was a woman who actually had murdered a couple of the elderly patients there, and she was a pretty bad person. But they had closed off sections of that place because the residents couldn't they didn't get any peace. It was so, and to me it was haunted. It was very haunted. And I was working in this library area. There was like a little library, and I was trying to read a magazine, a Texas Monthly magazine, and this guy across from me was having a schizophrenic episode, and I kept hearing him talk. It was a one-sided conversation. It was just basically him talking to himself. But ultimately, I heard another voice, and it was like something very guttural and low, and it was coming from behind and kind of above him. And that's when I put the magazine down and walked back to the control room, and I thought, this guy's not just schizophrenic. He's got some sort of demonic oppression upon him, and that's why, that's why it was happening, because, he may be diagnosed as being an insane or crazy individual or whatever, but to me, it was very clear that there was a demonic oppression happening there. To have been able to hear his voice. And then one of the guys I worked with told me that, yeah, I've heard it too. Like he was walking down the hallway, and I felt like a cold air. It's not me, it was somebody else that said this. Felt like a cold wind go in front of him, and then him start to speak, and then hear something like behind him talking, like something was following him, and even hearing footsteps behind the guy. So something was stalking him, So when you watch the video of Elisa Lam, it looks almost like something is stalking her, like it's following her. So it's a very weird thing, It's just a very odd, So it's a pretty good documentary if you want to check it out, and it'll give you a little insight. Somebody had asked me the other day on a couple live streams past, and I was not. Just like they kind of caught me flat-footed, and I was like, I'm not really sure what that was. But once I looked into, I had heard of the case, and I had already read about it, just didn't remember the name of it. Another thing that's odd is there was a tuberculosis outbreak that took place when she was there, and it was the university that she went to. And if you watch the documentary, you'll see all this. I'm not going to get into great detail about it. But she had worked in study in there was an area of the school that she went to where they had studied tuberculosis and its effects on people, and then whenever they did this vaccine or whatever, there was a test for it. I believe it was a test, and it was called the Lam Elisa, which was so weird. And then when you looked up the patent number, and then you looked up the location, it was actually the cemetery where she ended up being buried. I believe that's correct. Anyway, my mind's kind of, I've had a rough week, so just forgive me if I'm not totally correct. But anyways, if you go back and you look at all those weird synchronicities and coincidences, it's just so bizarre. So yeah, that's what was going on with that. And so I wanted to say something about that. The other thing I want to talk about, folks, is my email address is Josh Turner at prtpodcast.com, Josh Turner at prtpodcast.com. Or if you're a friend of mine on Facebook, you can always send me a messenger. That's perfectly fine. I get a lot of messages on Messenger. But one of the things I was going to say, if you're going to send me a friend request, and I'm going to have to keep repeating this like it's a mantra, please send me a message telling me that you are a listener of the show. Because if you're not a listener of the show, I'm not going to accept your friend request. It's very simple. Because I have a lot of people that are just not, they're just collecting friends. I don't know what they're doing. And I'm just not interested in that. I'm not interested in being friends with people who aren't listeners of the show. I'm just not my thing, you know? I got enough going on in my life. I got lots and lots of friends and, you know, in my regular life, and I'm interested in being friends with my listeners and having as many of my listeners there as I can, you know, talk to and communicate with and relate to. So Bigfoots are driving UFOs now? Yeah. I know that there have been some people who've claimed that Dogman drive cars. Which I know that's bullcrap. We got everybody. Do we thank everybody that donated?
Everyone so far, yeah.
Yeah. Because up here it only shows 3. Why is that? It only shows the last 3 or something?
Yeah. It's just like a running ticker of all the people who've donated.
I wanted to make sure. I knew there was more than that, and everybody that donated.
Yeah, if they send like a super chat or a super sticker, their name will go up there and then it'll pop up on the screen with the little ghost.
Another thing too, somebody had told me that they thought our Patreon was a bust. Well, we just got it started, folks, and we're trying to get money to keep the show
I don't know
going.
what Patreon they're looking at, because for one that just got started, we have like 23 patrons.
Well,
I think 28.
They were saying that it's a bust, like you don't get anything out of it.
Oh, well,
we're just getting started. We're trying to figure out what we're going to do, you know.
Yeah. And that's also why there's a $3 donation tier. I mean, if you want to support it, and you don't want anything, you feel like you don't get anything anyway, just sign up for a $3 donation a month. That's it. Mm-hmm. It's up to you. Or just listen to the show and on YouTube. That supports us too. It's whatever you can do. We're not greedy. $10 donation we have a super chat from Doc Snake. It says, Josh, you're a soldier. Thank you for creating this space.
I appreciate it. Another necklace that I got from Kevin and Melissa Panay. I put it on a chain I had. So it's a shark tooth. They have prehistoric shark tooth. Really cool. What were you saying?
Oh, I was just saying, and for those of you who may be wondering how Patreon works, you get billed on, I believe it's the first of the month, and it's that simple. So if you sign up, you probably won't get charged immediately if it's not on the first or not before the first, but come the first of the month, that's when it'll get drafted. So. have a question from Cheryl Wing. She says, "Hey Josh, you mentioned Dulce, New Mexico during your interview with Nick Valente. I know a little about it, but could you tell us about what you know about that area?"
Brownwood?
No.
What was it?
Dulce.
Dulce. I got into it with Lon on my show. Not got into it like we argued, but me and Lon Strickler, when he came on our show, we did like a 3-part show with him, and we talked on one of the episodes about Dulce, but I haven't really gotten into it again since. You gotta be real careful with stuff like that, especially when it comes to the Dulce base, because I got some stories from someone who claims that they once did security in the perimeters of that base, and it's some really weird stuff, man. Some really creepy stuff. I know some stuff about it, but you just gotta be real careful, because two things. One, you can get somebody who's just going to make up stuff and give you, and they could just be pulling your chain, you know. And then you have somebody who could be really telling you, you know, true stuff, and then you go out there and start talking about it, and you get a visit from somebody. Kind of like the individuals that me and Nick Redfern were talking about last week. So, I'm talking to a buddy of mine on here, and I want to have him come on and start helping, you know, do some work for us. And I'm willing to. I'm gonna, you know, and he's trying to decide what he wants to do. If anybody's interested in maybe taking a job helping us grow our channel, grow our. What are we looking for? Somebody to help run the fan page?
Yeah, someone to take over the not the Paranormal Round Table group, but the page, because the Facebook page really needs to be used consistently. Like, I mean,
we just don't have time. Just
pretty much on a daily basis, because our group has like over 4,000 people.
We have almost 5,000.
Our channel has like over 13,000 subscribers on YouTube, but our Facebook page, it's I don't know, it's got like maybe a couple thousand,
2,500, I think.
Maybe, at most, like that many likes, and it's not really used on a consistent basis.
Yeah, and so we're looking at somebody to do it, and we're actually looking to help share the wealth with the Patreon and all that, to help grow the channel, to help it become larger.
And I mean, even better if they could be trusted to consistently and regularly maintain a Facebook page for the show, an Instagram account, and a Twitter account, because those are, I mean, social media presence is very big, but you know, me and you, we don't really do Twitter. I barely do Instagram.
I barely do Twitter.
And Instagram. I mean, we just don't have time to maintain a consistent social media presence on all the big social media platforms. It's an important thing to do. We're tied up with everything else. Yeah,
our company does a lot. We do a lot of work, security wise, and there's a lot of construction in Austin, and that's our main bread and butter is the construction security. We work for like 3 large companies, so. Yeah.
But I mean, you definitely have to be computer savvy, tech savvy, and you have to know what you're doing, and it's just you have to be very, very careful with what you post and be familiar with all 3 of those social media platforms. Very comfortable and familiar with Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. I mean, if you don't use all 3 of those consistently, then it's probably not going to work out. Yeah.
So that's something that we're doing, and I would ask, like to have somebody who's the fan of the show, that trusts, that we can trust and that trusts us, and like I said, we'll pay you. So that's what we're looking for right now.
we had kind of a funny, not a question, but a comment earlier from Michael Tesser. He said, my wife doesn't believe there are cryptids in Michigan. Of all places, Michigan, no cryptids.
Why does she not believe?
Hopefully she's just not in for a traumatic and rude awakening.
My brother lived in Michigan for a long time. He was from there. He's my half brother, and so he had some pretty crazy things to say about Michigan and being out in the woods and stuff. When I first told him about what happened to me, he wasn't even shocked. He didn't even balk. He just said, "Oh, that's Dogman." That's the first time anybody had ever called it that. So that's how I found Vic's channel, was by my brother talking about Dogman. And then when I looked up the keywords, werewolf, and whatever, and I found Dogman. That's how I found Dogman Encounters. Because my brother from Michigan knew the term, that slang term of Dogman. So run a banner at the bottom of your YouTube page with your Patreon and social media at minimum.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
That's a very good idea. Also, we have new merchandise apparently in the store. I was like, that's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, actually we opened up a second store that you can access directly from YouTube. So if you go to the website and you click the shop button from the website, that'll take you to the first store that we set up. But I realize that it's a lot easier for people watching on YouTube to just, if you just look right below the video, the video that you're watching, like if you're watching an episode, right below it, you'll see like pictures of different merchandise we have. If you click on that, it's going to take you to a different store. But we have most of the same stuff there, and some stuff we have in that store we don't have in the other one. So it's just an easier way for you to get PRT merchandise.
Amy, I have a friend in New Jersey, very talented with graphics, media, etc. Who's your friend? I hope he's not somebody from another channel. Says Josh, how much do you take cryptids like Dogman into consideration in choosing where to build your house? At this point, you got to take what you can get in Central Texas. There's not a lot left. I've already had like 4 or 5 deals fall through. So
yeah, I'd almost rather deal with the Dogman at this point than living in an apartment.
You would just have to, you have to deal with it.
It's whatever. It is what it is. Welcome to our property, Dogman. Still better than living crammed.
I'm not going to welcome that, but.
Well, I will.
Says Josh, do you dismiss skepticism, or do you think it healthy to a point? And I think it's healthy to a point. You can't just buy into everything. Somebody says that, there's something slithering around their closet. I mean, it may be, it may be not. I mean, you talk to somebody and you don't start telling them, well, let's figure out how I can debunk you. And that's not the first thing I do, but I do ask. Maybe it could be something else. I mean, I've had that happen. I've had somebody come at me real hot with like, I got this, I got that. And then I start going over it. I'm going like, it might not really be, anything too supernatural. You're just feeling it. You know what I mean? Because I had something I wanted to say and I couldn't. I just lost it while Anthony was talking. I was like waiting for my turn to speak, and then I was like, I just dropped it.
Lampolite says, Josh, how often do people claim to have a picture of Dogman or Bigfoot, but then refuse to show them?
It's happened a few times. This person asking about Brownwood. There's stories all over Texas. I mean, my former co-host, he lived out there in Brownwood and claimed that there were people that had stories, but he never really would try to go and he never really went after stuff. I mean, he was just too busy with his day-to-day life, and the show was just a big afterthought to him. It wasn't like the most important thing in his life. It's not the most important thing in my life either, but I mean, like, it was something that I was working toward, trying to make it into something, and he was just kind of like, whatever. He just wanted to get up there and repeat the same stuff. So I never really got much out of him when it came to where he was from. Thank you, Wendy.
Let's see.
Virginia City, Nevada. Yeah, a couple summers ago, I was real close to going there, but I didn't. It kept raining, and I didn't want to drive through that winding road to get there to go to Virginia City.
You have Titan asking, Josh, what advice do you give to anyone who would start to investigate the paranormal or cryptids?
Stand in line. There's a million people doing it. I mean, it's just like it just keeps going and going. Everybody thinks that they can do it, and sad to say, there's only so many that can make the cut and make somebody want to listen to them. It says, what pre-workout do I take? Is that what that says?
Let's see. I'm about to work out. How do you get through your night gym sessions, and what pre-workout do you take, and how long are your sessions?
Last night I did 23 different exercises. What I mean by that is I did 5 different exercises on my chest, 5 different exercises on my shoulders, 5 different exercises on my triceps. I did 5 different exercises on my back, and then I did 3 exercises on my biceps.
Oh, that's funny. His name is Lord Anthony 9. The guy who asked that question. But that's a hardcore workout, though. Like, if you're just starting out,
is he just starting out?
Well, I don't know. He says I'm about to work out, so I don't know if he means like right now he's about to go to the gym or he's about to start working out. But I would imagine if he's asking for tips, he's probably going to start. Which, if you're going to start, I would not recommend the Wolf workout of 25 exercises.
Yeah, well, it's 23.
23.
But I have done up to 25 when I've been really aggravated and when I was just pretty intent on trying to work out all the stress. I have a lot of stress.
And Wolf doesn't take any pre-workout.
I don't take anything.
It's really not. I mean, it's a nice thing to have, sometimes, but it's definitely it's unnecessary. I mean, it's a luxury, but you don't really need it to make gains.
No, and I don't take anything. I just take protein.
Yeah, and the longest your session should be
hour.
Hour. I mean, once you're really getting into it and you've been doing it for a while, you could probably get away with like an hour and a half. But after that, you're just doing damage to your body.
Yeah, it becomes catabolic.
Yeah.
One thing I do know about is working out and actually like lifting. I train a lot of guys lifting. Strongman, tough man, boxers, football players. I've trained strength, a lot of strength coaching stuff. I can definitely, if you were anywhere near, he says he's from Austin, Texas.
Okay, says I'm not a beginner, but I can't seem to stay up past 9 p.m. I always fall asleep.
Well, if you're weak sauce.
Well, you're not gonna fall asleep if you start a workout at 8:30 p.m. or 9 p.m. Instead of going to bed, go to the gym. You'll be fine. It's really hard to fall asleep when you're lifting weights. If you fall asleep lifting weights, I don't know what to tell you. You must be narcoleptic.
I mean, there's. I don't take any pre-workout because of my blood pressure. I don't. It's just And last night I went in there with a heavy heart, thinking about my mother and all the other things I got going on in my life, and I just decided to just go crazy on the workout and just worked out hard. I even was done with my workout and was already hitting the massage chair, and then I just said, you know what, I'm not done. I got back up and did like 4 more exercises just because I felt it. I felt like I needed to.
So we have a question from Wendy Eater. It says, Josh, do you get stories about fairies or nature sprites, etc.?
Mm-hmm. All the time. I've seen 2 fairies. Seen 2, I don't want to say like, oh, I saw them very clearly, like they were interacting with me. No. I had one experience with my Aunt Linda, and it was like this little fairy thing that flew over our heads and then took off, and then she claimed that she'd seen these before in her yard in Taylor, Texas. And then another time I saw one when I was when I was in one of my stints as a wayward youth in a facility. So shake weights are actually pretty good. I've used shake weights, and they will actually they're pretty brutal.
Yeah, people make fun of them until they try them. It's a very unique type of burn once you get to using them for like 2 minutes at a time, if you can even do that.
Yeah,
doesn't sound like a long time, but it sure does feel like one.
Try doing the shake weight. With different exercises. I got a 10 exercise shake weight routine that I've actually developed. When all the COVID thing happened, the gyms were closed and stuff. So I went back, started doing it again. And I couple it with some kettlebells and some free weights that I work out with. It's a 10-minute exercise. And I've actually done on multiple occasions, and Anthony, you can attest to this, I've done the shake weight with different exercises with it. I've done 10 minutes on that thing.
Yeah, non-stop. Like
non-stop.
One exercise to the next. It's
brutal.
Yeah. I can't come close to that. It's ridiculous. I hate it. I hate the shake weight. But definitely not because it's ineffective. Just because it's the opposite. It's painful. Yeah. Oh yeah. Pokemon Outlaw. Any witch stories from Texas?
There's a ton of them. I mean, the bruja is very big here in Mexican culture, the Mexican folklore. You get a lot of stories about witches and things like that.
Jag 0937 EB, I guess he's a robot, says, are you as strong as Bob Sapp?
How strong is Bob Sapp? I know I watched him get beat up a couple times in Pride. Just being big and strong doesn't make you a good fighter. But I don't know how strong he is. He looks pretty strong.
Yeah, Kimbo Slice got handled pretty good by that small dude.
Yeah, kid with pink hair beat him up. So it doesn't matter. I mean, you can be big and you can be whatever, but that doesn't make you a good fighter. I mean, I run into guys all the time who are more chiseled than me. They look big, strong, and they have all this muscle, but how quick are you? How quick are your hands?
We have a $5 donation from Blue. I still don't know if it's Blue Storm IV or Blue Storm 4, but either way, he says, I live in Reno, go to Virginia City often. The McKay mansion is super haunted. Could feel it as soon as I walked in. Saw a shadow at the Washoe Club. No. But anyway, thank you for that donation.
Bob Sapp can destroy an apple with his bare hands. Okay, so he can take an apple and crush it. Yeah.
I mean, okay.
Yeah.
Even if that's a thing, it's not really anyone being able to do that is not an indication of them being a good fighter. It's an indication of grip strength.
I have a pretty good grip.
There's a very big difference between feats of strength and fighting ability. That's why strong men don't compete in MMA. You know, the world's strongest man is not going to do very well in the UFC or K1. You know, it's just not going to happen. I think there was one Polish guy, Pujanowski, who tried, and I mean, he wasn't bad, but he wasn't very good because that's not what he trains for. It depends on what you train specifically to do.
Pujanowski was Polish or Russian?
I think Pujanowski was Polish.
Yeah, that's funny because I knew a guy named Podesky that was a Russian, and I outbenched him. Back then, you know, we didn't have all these nice camera phones. All we have the little crappy flip phones, and there was nobody there with a video camera. But I got about 20 people who saw me bench over 600. So
Jason McFadden said, "I can destroy an apple with my bare teeth."
yeah, I saw that. That's pretty good.
It's amazing.
I actually took one of those small, like little, you know, those little, what are they called? I don't know what they're called. The little one, the Gala apples. Maybe, no, maybe that's not it. They're little small ones, and I smashed one of those. Never tried it with a bigger one. I guess I can try and see what I can do. I have a pretty strong grip. But we're not here to talk about
I had a question here. Oh,
all that.
Corey Cole says, "Hey Josh, I mentioned last week about walking up to a grave where I heard popping and being hit with static electricity. Can you tell me more about what you've heard?"
You know, yeah, I saw that. Here's the thing I'm going to tell you about that. People believe, and they really want to believe that the Dogman thing, like whenever someone hears like the popping noise associated with Dogman, they just automatically want to believe that, oh, you know what, that comes from their joints popping and them, you know, moving up and down and all that, but not necessarily, because in the supernatural there's a lot of that happens too. My wife, in fact, was reading a book, a supernatural book, and her and my brother both heard like a popping poop poop poop, you know. I mean, it's weird, dude. Like when I was living in that crazy house that I lived in for all those years, I would wake up to a popping noise sometimes in the hallway, and it's just you know, I don't know. There's something. It has something to do with the supernatural. Like there's a popping sound that can be heard, and just because the Dogman stands up and people hear a popping noise doesn't mean that has anything to do with their joints. It could be, because that would make sense. That's a logical explanation. But it also could be, you know, there's a noise that people hear when they first make their presence known, and it's like a pop, 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 you know. And so I don't know if that's like them popping in and out of our, no pun intended, but popping in and out of our realm or world or whatever, or if that's something that happens, you know, that has something to do with like their joints. I mean, you know, I've heard a lot of stuff when people have encountered spirits, they hear like a crack or a pop, you know. I mean, I don't know what that is. That could be anything. I mean, I guess I better sit up.
I have a $5 super chat from Brian Clough. Says, "Much love to everyone at PRT and Ryan. What's the best overall workout? Also, how do cryptids use infrared? Why does it have an effect on people?" So it's a 3-part question.
You want to help answer it?
I can answer the first part.
Go ahead.
So the best overall workout, well, speaking from personal experience, and I do what my Uncle Wolf here has taught me, and doing his workout has taken me from starting out, I was 150 pounds, and doing that workout consistently, at one point I got to almost 200 pounds of just putting on muscle mass. So his routine is one day you dedicate to doing a workout, like a full upper body workout. Don't like every muscle on your upper body. You do 3 exercises on, like for your chest, 3 exercises. Then you go to your back. Then you go to your shoulders. Then you go to your triceps. Then you go to your biceps. At the very minimum, you do 3 exercises, 3 different exercises for each muscle group. and then the next day you do the same thing for your legs. You do at least 3 exercises for your quads, 3 exercises for your hamstrings, and 3 exercises for your calves. And I mean, you can mix it up, or you should mix it up with different exercises to get different types of resistance. But the general idea is that one day full upper body, the next day legs, the next day after that you dedicate to just recovery. It means you eat, sleep, relax. You give your body time to heal all those muscle fibers that you've basically torn. Mm-hmm. That's what you do in the gym. You break down muscle, you tear it apart, and then the growth happens on that recovery day. That's, people think that growth happens in the gym. No, damage happens in the gym. You're literally tearing and ripping apart your muscle fibers. When they recover, when they get the proper nutrition and they recover, then they come back stronger. So upper body one day, legs the next, rest the next, and then you repeat that 3-day cycle just over and over.
Outstanding. Somebody mentioned Shao Kahn on there, so.
And the second and third part of the question: How do cryptids use infrared, and why does it have an effect on people?
I think he's talking about infrasound. Infrared. I don't know that they use infrared. Isn't that what the Predator does?
I don't know. Yeah, I think so.
Feel the power of Shao Kahn. You will die. I rule this world.
It's too bad he's a bad guy because he looks really cool.
Yeah. I always like the bad guys, the leaders. As you can see, my shirt, but it's Storm Shadow and Snake Eyes. I like Storm Shadow, but I liked it when he became a good guy too. I like the anti-heroes. It shows that there's redemption. You can be a bad guy, but you can change and you can fight for the good. I did. Everybody's out there trying to out-evil each other. A really strong, good, righteous man can crush you like a bug. All your evil in the world is not going to help you when righteous justice comes for you. I am Optimus Prime. I used to want to be a voice actor. I used to do a lot of voice acting, do different voices and stuff, but Shang Tsung is a lot cooler than Shao Kahn.
Well, we're going to have to agree to disagree on that one.
Wow.
Shang Tsung uses magic, and he's scrawny, and he's sneaky and underhanded. Shao Kahn's a bad guy, but he's got really cool big muscles, and he has a cool hammer and a cool skull mask, and he smashes your face, not stabs you in the back. He's cooler.
Exactly. But there is something to be said for people who live in the spirit and that fight. The Shaolin, are a perfect example of that. They train and they train to use their spirit to control their mind, and the mind controls the body. When you can achieve, I believe it's called Satori, is that correct? Is that what it's called? Where you kind of slow down time,
I'll look it up.
You have to be able to do that. If you want to be a successful fighter and be able to fight multiple opponents too, you have to be able to, you have to be able to do that. You have to be able to use that ability to slow down, time, because like I said, it's not a person, it's a time. And if you're out of tune with the time, you're going to lose. Simple as that. Folks, don't forget about the art contest. I only got a few submissions so far, and that's a shame because Goatman, come on, dude, we're drawing the Goatman, and everybody that won prizes last time, Roger Carter, MJ Kaiser, Ashley Clapstein, all very good artists. Come on, let's go, guys. Ashley has sent me a submission, and Jason McFadden sent me one that's really cool. I like yours a lot, Jason, but it's not up to me. It's up to the people. And folks, if you're not a member already of our group, Paranormal Round Table, it's free to join. It's on Facebook, and you can keep up with all things Paranormal Round Table on there. Just join our group. Nellie has her own thing going on, Paranormal Lounge, and she's pretty active with that. Tony is Paranormal Encounters. I'll be real honest. I've gotten a few complaints that he's not really very active in there, but the people themselves are. They post a lot of stuff in there. So remember, first prize for the Goatman contest. I'm going to be making a big order tonight after the show. Actually, I'm going to go get on the computer and make some orders for the for some of the new merchandise to be giving away. And you might be lucky enough to win if you go to the Paranormal Roundtable group whenever we drop a show on Friday, and you leave a comment on the official link, and you might be chosen. There's only one winner per week, and so but we also are going to be giving away $100, $50, and then $25 prizes for the art contest, and then you will also get a bunch of PRT swag and some pretty cool stuff. So just let me know when you're done with your artwork. Just send it to me on Messenger on Facebook, and then I will put it. What I do is I put it in my pictures, and then I just forget about them, whose they are, and we just put them all together, and we put them on Facebook on the Paranormal Roundtable group page, and we'll put it as an announcement, and then everyone can go and like or whatever, comment, and whoever gets the most likes wins. It's pretty simple. Ashley won it last time around, and since then I bought a picture from her. She drew a very beautiful octopus for my wife, so it's pretty cool.
So we have a pretty good question here from Wendy Eater. She says, "How many people send you accounts of making a deal with the devil?"
Couple. I've had a couple. It's not something I really care to indulge. Any reports of Bigfoot or Dogman by Canyon Lake, Texas? Canyon Lake, Texas. I'm trying to think. Is that in New Braunfels? New Braunfels? If it is, yes. So anyways, send in your submissions, your art submissions, and let's get this thing going. Says, any more stories from the Hernandez Ranch? Yes, I'm hoping to, don't get too excited, but I'm hoping to go into another person's accounts this week. But like I said, my mother's in the hospital. Let me just touch on that real quick before I get ahead of myself. My mother's in the hospital, and they're looking for a blood clot in her brain because she had a stroke along with the heart attack. She was on Coumadin, which is blood thinners, and she had come off of them so that she could have heart surgery. And while she was coming off of the blood thinners, she had a heart attack and a stroke. So it's a very difficult situation, which is why I was hitting it so hard in the gym last night. I've just been in a lot of stress. And so what I'm going to do is we can't go and see her right now because she's in the ICU, and they're not, because of the COVID thing, and she's at a high risk because she has a compromised immune system because of her illness and her age. So I'm not able to go and see her like I would like to go and just we could all see her. We can't do that, but she was hopeful that they were going to let her go home, which was weird to me that they would let someone go home, but this is in the age of COVID, and it's like, okay, well, we'll let you go home and then have you come back in a few days to have surgery, whereas normally they would just leave you there, but because of COVID, everything's all weird and jacked up, which actually makes me angry, but so anyways, I was hoping to record the Hernandez Ranch this past week or this week, but then all this stuff happened with the ice storm. And then, you know, like I said, Anthony's mother had a minor stroke. And my first cousin, who I'm very close to, her house burned down. And it's been an avalanche of disaster, you know, the things that happened with the cold that happened here. People have died, folks. I mean, I'm not even going to get into it, man. It's not good. It's been not good. So, but I am going to keep pushing. I'm going to try and get the Hernandez Ranch episode so we can have that this coming Friday. But if not, then I'm going to go ahead and go with the Carrie Eaton interviews where we talk about Dogman and werewolves. That'll be good too. And then after that, we're going to have a regular episode, and then we're going to have Dana Holyfield talking about the Honey Island swamp monster. And I am going to possibly make a documentary with Lyle Blackburn and Ken Gerhard and Trey Felton about the Honey Island swamp monster, maybe going on expedition, going out there. Like I said, my role will be very limited. From the hotel, I'll have the drone while they go out into the danger, and I will applaud them from the hotel for doing that.
You know, I'll probably just bring my laptop and play video games or something.
Yes. I will assist. We'll play the new Age of Empires. It's pretty cool. Yeah. It's remastered. Good luck, Ken, Lyle. Just kidding, guys. If they go out into the swamp, I will go into the swamp on the little tour thing and then go back. Can't be a wuss. Yes, my mom is definitely a fighter. She's actually died. Officially, she's died twice. You know, my mother has actually died twice. So, but once in particular was really bad. And she died on the operating table, and then they brought her back. She had one of her kidneys destroyed, and her pancreas was lacerated through medical malpractice. But it's almost impossible to do anything about it nowadays. So, you know, we had a sleazy doctor that did that, and then, you know, got away with it pretty much. He bailed. So whatever. That was years ago. It's interesting, though, when somebody just decides that, you know what, I don't want to practice here anymore in bells. Maybe reputation. Says stimulate. Dang, Josh, hang in there. Stay close to family. That's all we got in life. Not necessarily. Thank you for the words, you know, but my family consists of a lot of people who aren't blood related to me, who have my back and who've had my back for a long time, and I'm as close to them as I am to anybody in my family. I love my family, you know, like my Uncle Jimmy and my Uncle Butch, you know, and they've all been really good people. My cousins, Bo and Trey, and you know, my cousin Tino on my mom's side, and cousin Amy, and you know, I'm very close to a lot of my family. I love them dearly. But I have family that don't consist of blood, and they've been very good to me there, you know, and I've been blessed to have a lot of brothers who've stepped up and helped me over the years. Some things you just can't, you know, you got to do it on your own. You gotta fix them. You got to take care of them. You got to do it on your own. I have been a person that's had to help a lot of people over the years because I've been sort of successful, but it wasn't by accident. I worked my butt off to get to where I'm at. And the thing that really angers me is that, you know, there were people that could have helped me and they just didn't. You know, in particular, my dad. I'm just gonna be honest, you know, he could have helped me multiple times and just never did. I mean, he would just, you know, little lip service here and there, you know, hey, here's a little something, that's it, but just not a good guy. So whatever. We don't have a good relationship. I saw parents doing things for their kids that were like, you know, helping them get things that they needed and whatever, and I was just kind of like, well, see ya. You're on your own. But that makes you a stronger person because you go out and you do things for yourself and you create everything yourself and you do everything yourself and with limited help. So, you know, that's it's important to be able to stand on your own 2 feet. It's good to have people around that can help you and that can do things for you, but you know, sorry, man, I'm really sore today too. My body's tore down. Also, on the subject of working out, the day after you work out, your body's really tore up, and yeah, you don't always look your best, and you're just kind of, your muscles look deflated. But then the next day, you get a good pump going because you. So if you young single guys out there, if you're going to go on a date, the next day, don't work out the day before because you're going to look like all deflated. Make sure you time it to where you do it a day, like 2 days before. Right, Anthony?
Yep. Yeah, especially on your legs, like the surprisingly, at least in my experience, when you hit your legs real hard, you're expecting to not be able to walk the next day, but the next day it doesn't hit you that much and you're like, oh, this is not so bad. And you go sleep that night, and the day after that, it's like you just want to be in a wheelchair. It's so painful. But you get used to it. It starts to become a pain that you crave. It's a healthy pain, growing pain.
Another thing too we were going to do, which we just haven't been to the post office because it just everything's been closed until yesterday. But we're going to go and open up a P.O. box ASAP. And I'm going to give y'all that P.O. box. So if there's anything you want to send us, you know, like if you just want to send us, you know, an art or something you want to send to us personally, or some people like writing letters, things like that. I've had people say, I'd like to write you a letter. Well, that's fine. You know, I'll open up a P.O. box and you can send things, you know, like somebody was saying that their child, you know, draws pictures. They wanted to send me something, and that's cool too, you know. We can start. We're going to open up a P.O. box for that. So it's crawling to a restaurant for a date doesn't sound fun. Why not?
Well, you don't do your legs the day before, or 2 days before. You do your upper body.
Exactly. So your guns, son, you get your guns going. Like my arms today, believe it or not, are tore up. Like I cannot flex or make them look decent. I look tore up. But tomorrow, you know, I'll take some photos of myself tomorrow, you know, looking all. Stop. You people. Somebody told me the other day, you're a weird guy. I'm like, yeah, I do paranormal crap. That's pretty much it. I'm a weird guy. I'll also crush an apple. Doris Downs. I can't understand why parents don't help their kids out while they're alive. Why hoard your freaking money? What's the point? Yeah.
That's something I brought up just recently.
Mm-hmm.
Like they have all this money in the bank account, and they're like, oh, I'll leave it to my kids when when I pass. Well, then what is it doing until then?
Yeah.
It's just, I mean, I don't know. Makes no sense.
I gave up trying to understand. I didn't have a good relationship with my mother for a big part of my life, but the last 10 years she has tried, and she had pretty much lost everything, and I didn't hold grudges. I just stepped up and tried to help her and be the best son that I could be, because I always tried to be. I don't think that she was living correctly, which is why she had the near-death experience, and she saw what she saw, but it changed her, and that's all that matters, is that she's on the right side now. My dad, on the other hand, is another story. And I'm not ashamed to sit up here and talk about it. I don't care. I mean, he's just not a good guy. I mean, if he was, he would be there and do things, and he just doesn't. He can't. He's incapable. He cares about my stepmom, and that's it. That's all there is to it. You know, don't care about me. He's got a relationship with my sister, but the problem is that I look like my grandfather, who he hates. So, and it reminds him of his weakness and his inferiority, because my grandfather was a big, strong, tough guy, and not a person like him. So that's why. And I hope that I never ever have to speak to him ever again in my entire life. I will not forego family functions to avoid him anymore, though. I'm just going to go, and if he's there, then I'm going to ignore him. And I hope if he hears this, he knows that I don't ever want to speak to him again. Don't look at me. Don't even look in my direction, sir. And I won't look at you. And I wish my mother was in the situation she's in. I would trade places them two. Definitely wish that it was the other way around, but whatever, it is what it is. I just hope that if you have children, anybody who's out there is listening, you have children, I hope that you help them, do things for them, so they don't have to struggle and go through what I've gone through. Because it's sad when you leave your kid off to just kind of off the drift, you know, whatever, and then you turn around and point the finger at them about how they've lived their life. It's like, you weren't there to help guide them or do them any favors, so what did you expect? When the kid turns out, you know, bad or not doing good, I mean, you have nobody but yourself to blame. Plus, when you beat the kid for every day of his life growing up till he's 15, that tends to happen too. So, physically abusive, you know.
Yeah, I think there are too many parents out there who are on two different extremes of like I don't know, would you call it a parenting spectrum? Like there's the kind of parents who are really harsh and dish out a lot of punishment, and don't really, they punish their children more than what they help them. They won't do anything for them, and like their thinking is, oh, it'll make them tough and prepare them for the world and yada yada yada. And it doesn't work. But then you have, on the other hand, the opposite end of the spectrum, where parents are like, oh, they have a kid and they're like, well, I suffered when I was his age, and so I want to give him everything that I didn't have. But they just end up doing just that, giving that child everything, just handing him everything, and they never learn to say thank you, please, to be respectful, to appreciate anything, and they get used to just the world, or they become entitled, and they're just mean, rotten people who have no sense of respect or boundaries. I mean, there's a middle ground there between treating your kid like a punching bag and treating him like royalty. Somewhere in between. There's a lot of space there.
Yeah, with my dad, I think it was just more like just didn't care. I just didn't care. The older I got, and the more I looked like my grandfather, and just somebody he hated and was afraid of. The difference between me and him was that when me and my dad got into it as a teenager, I beat his butt, and that was the end of that. No more abuse. And if he was a real man, he would have done the same thing to his dad for abusing him, but he didn't. So he took it out on me. So Not my problem. Enjoy your life, the rest of your miserable life.
Yeah, and just, I mean, not speaking from personal experience, but from what I've observed when it comes to parenting, if any of you listening have children who are in the formative years of their life, you know, little kids, you know, what you do now, is gonna stick with them for the rest of their lives. I mean, whatever traumatic experiences they go through now, or whatever you're doing to spoil them that is detrimental, it's all going to stick with them until they're a grown man or grown woman. So just, if I could tell you anything, it would be to keep that in mind and always think about what you're doing and tell yourself, how is this going to how is this going to stick with him when he's 30 years old, when she's 30 years old? Because that day's going to come faster than you know it. Your kid's 3, 4, or 5 years old right now, and then you're going to wake up one day and they're 30 just like that. So, you know, don't act clueless whenever they don't turn out the way you want them to. Don't blame society if you weren't there.
Yeah.
And for the love of God, please don't pop them in front of the TV just because it shuts them up. Please don't pop them in front of a video game just because it shuts them up. If you don't have the patience to deal with a child, don't have one. TV is garbage for a young mind.
The box of poison.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like Paulito, your younger brother, got on there. Hey, mijo, what are you doing?
Hey, Paulito.
He asked about Spring Hill Jack. Spring Hill Jack, something I read about a long time ago. 1830s, London, England. Was just a very weird a guy dressed up in a weird outfit, wore a helmet, shot fire out of his mouth, and jumped really high. It sounded almost extraterrestrial, like somebody who was either somebody who was a very imaginative inventor who went around terrorizing people, scaring people, or he was someone who was from another realm. That's all I can think of. I mean, that's the only thing I can think of. The way that he dressed and the things that he did were just, it was weird. But you got to look into it. If you want to read about it, make sure you separate the fact from the fiction, because there's two different things. There's stories about Spring Hill Jack that are make-believe, that made up stuff, and then there's like the real stories, you know, of what he did. I think he was only accredited with one death, someone who was trying to get away from him, and he fell into a like a creek or something and drowned, something like that.
I have a good question from Ashley Clapstein. She says, Josh, I live next to an unmarked native burial ground and experience a lot of shadow people around it. Do you think not all shadow people are bad?
I wouldn't trust any shadow people. I can tell you that right now. I wouldn't put any stock in them. Somebody says, isn't that Jack the Ripper? No. Jack the Ripper was in the 1880s. Want to look that up for me? Because I'm not for sure if that's correct. I know Spring Hill Jack was in the 1830s. I believe he predated Jack the Ripper by 50 years. Jack the Ripper was a completely different, pretty sure it was Aaron Kosminski. Look it up. But they're still not, 100% on saying
Jack the Ripper, 1880s.
1880s, yeah. And then we had a serial killer that was killing people here in Austin. We even have the Moon Towers still. If anybody's ever in Austin, in the Austin area, and if I'm not doing anything and you want to meet for dinner or something, let me know ahead of time you're going to be coming through, and I can take you and show you the Moon Towers. There was a guy who killed several women servant girls, in particular, that were of African American descent, and they actually, the guys from Expanded Perspectives, who I've never spoken to or anything, but I used to listen to their show every once in a while. It was one of the few shows I listened to, but I didn't listen to it a whole lot, maybe 10 episodes at most. But though I know that I listened to the one about the Austin Ripper, and the Austin Ripper, they thought that he might have been Jack the Ripper, and there were stories that it could have been him or H.H. Holmes. But I believe that it was not, and the victims were predominantly African American women, and from what the show had said, and when I went and did some research on it, they believe it was an African American guy that actually did the murders, and they did because he was missing a toe or two toes, and when this particular person was killed in a bar, I believe it was a bar fight, he was missing the two toes, and those were the toes that were seen in the mud and in the snow. And they did find an axe that matched, so I believe there were two completely different people. I believe that Jack the Ripper was a different person, but it just was, the timing was weird. At the times that the murders ended here, they began in London, or vice versa. I have to go back and do the research on it. But we to this day have moon towers that were donated by the city of Detroit and all around the city, and they are now what do you call it? State historical landmarks, so they can't be taken down. So that's a weird thing, that's a weird story, and it's a little sidelight into Austin, the history of Austin. That there was a Ripper that was going around killing people, and he was doing it with an axe, and they believe, a lot of people believe that there was a connection between him and Jack the Ripper because of the timing of when it happened. Kevin DeFranco, what does this mean? Whitey wiped out another species. I take it that that's a racist comment. I've had people get booted out of here for making racist comments, whether it's against black, white, Hispanic. We don't tolerate it, and that's not going to be tolerated. Ryan, if you're doing, Kevin DeFranco needs to be booted out. There's a lot of species being wiped out right now in Africa, and then the sad thing is it's predominantly the Africans themselves that are doing it, but they're doing it based on the trade with China, because China in particular, they use rhino horn and elephant tusk and tiger claws and all these weird markets for these potions and things that they. And so the Africans, they want money, so they go and they kill these species of animals, these lions and these these animals, and of course not tigers in Africa, but there's hyenas and lions and rhinos and elephants that are being killed, and it's predominantly the Africans themselves that are doing it, and that's not being racial bigoted or anything like that. That's just who's doing it. But they're doing it because they're poor and they're starving and they're suffering, and so they need money, and there's a market for it. The Asian market's predominantly China, and so there's a lot of Chinese investors there in Africa that are trying to get money from the Africans. And I've been there, so people want to argue with me about it. Well, we can go to school about it and whatever. But the N-word is not tolerated here. Calling people whitey and blackie and all these other things, whatever, that's not going to be tolerated here either. disparaging people's race or their religion or their gender is not allowed.
Yeah, it's not the place for anything along those lines.
Nope.
I mean, you can be what and who you are, believe what you want to be, but if you're going to discourage people from their own beliefs or identities, then you're gonna have to find somewhere else to do that.
Yeah, there's other platforms to go and be a fool. They're not going to do it around me because I don't have any tolerance for it. There's ways to have conversations and to talk about things, and I'm not one of these people that shies away from not on my show. Okay, we will never go talk about these kind of things on my show. But I'm not one that shies away from tough questions and shies away from the truths of the world that need to be talked about, because I think if we could all get together and we could actually have adult conversations, but if we could have conversations about real life and practical issues, we could probably further ourselves as a species, And I tell you what's really heartbreaking is that we should be a level like 3 civilization by now. If you don't know what that means, look it up. But we're not. And there's a group of people who have a vested interest in keeping us very stupid. Roger Carter, what's going on, brother? How you doing? Roger's a very good artist. My wife has an idea for a book that she wants to write. It's going to take a lot of illustrations, and so it would take some investing, and it's probably not something we'll make money off of. It's probably something we're going to have to spend money to do. But I'm down. I'm down to invest and maybe throw some money out there and see if we can make it happen. And so Roger, you and Jason McFadden and Ashley, all the people that I'm going to be looking to, and my friend Sam Sneed, to draw some stuff. And maybe we can get this book going, because it's going to need illustrations. And it's cryptid based. I'm sorry, folks, when I came in earlier, I just was not on top of my game, not 100%, but I try to give you 100%. I'm just, situation with my mother, just please pray for her. I'm not ready for her to leave this world yet. God may have other plans, and I'm not going to go against that, but I just want my mom to be okay. And there's a lot of stuff going on, there's a lot of stuff going on. A lot of talk about shadow people. I've seen a lot of shadow people in my life, especially in my old house. But not to be messed with, I can tell you that. Like I said, we got the art contest with the Goat Man. If you guys just send the submissions. Stimulate said, I tried touching a shadow person, didn't realize it
one since it was in the dark.
Just kept moving and wouldn't let me touch it. I had a woman send me I'll tell you all a story. Okay, there was a woman that sent me a story about shadow people, and I've got several now. I could do a whole nother show about them. But she actually bit one. Like, she woke up with this thing grabbing her, just grabbing her, let's put it that way. And she grabbed the arm of it, not knowing what it was, and it was just solid black. And she said it felt like a sponge, and she couldn't get it to let go, so she bit it. And she said it was like biting into a Nerf, like if you were to, like, say you took a Nerf and squeezed it, but if you actually bit it. And so I was like, okay, that's weird, but yeah, that's what she said. And so, pretty weird. I wouldn't, recommend biting a shadow person, but I've had reports of shadow people pushing people downstairs, grabbing people, trying to pull them into mirrors. You name it. Yes, Kevin DeFranco, you took what I say out of context and put me in timeout. I unsub from both you. Yeah, good. Goodbye. I didn't take it out of context. You were being racist, so whatever. It's kind of hard to take things out of context when you made a racist comment that was pretty obviously a racist comment. I mean, it wasn't like it was. How is that taking it out of context? Oh.
Yeah, when you say Whitey did this and did that, you're trying to
you're blame, disparaging a race of people.
Trying to blame a group of people for something. I mean, it'd be the same if you would say, brownie or blackie or whatever.
Yeah, either way, it's not going to be tolerated.
I mean, you can have your beliefs, just, keep them to yourself.
Yeah, any show coming up similar to the Fox Hollow Farm haunting? Yeah, actually, Anna Choate, but I believe she's got COVID right now. But, and then before that, her appendix burst. So every time we've tried to get her on, she did the investigation on the property where John Wayne Gacy, the infamous serial killer, one of the most disgusting, vile people on this that ever lived. He's right up there with the Night Stalker, another cowardly, disgusting people. That's what serial killers are. You think you're cool and you think you're smart and whatever. You're just weak. You prey on people that are weaker than you. Got no feelings for people like that. I could watch them be thrown into a meat grinder and not care. But yeah, she did the investigation on John Wayne Gacy's property, where there's a house there now. I was never one of those people, like, I got in a lot of fights and committed lots of violence, but it was never against weak people who couldn't defend themselves. It was people who were, pretty tough people, or at least they presented themselves that way.
So we have a listener by the handle of Werewolf Saves. He says, "What are shadow people? I have not heard of them."
Wow. Can you answer that?
I can give an answer, but I don't think anyone
What is your
has
answer?
a correct
I'm curious
answer.
to hear what your answer would be after all this time.
Well, shadow people are, if we're just talking about visually, they're just shadows that exist on their own. They're very dark black shadows that take the form of people, like humanoid people. And there's different kinds. One of the most common ones is referred to as a man in the hat. It's a shadow of a man in a hat, but there's no man from which the shadow is coming. It's just a shadow, a black shadow on the wall. And very often the darkness of these shadows are described to be so dark that they make the darkness around them pale in comparison. So even in pitch black, people will see these extremely dark shadows that you can see even in pitch black.
Blacker than black.
Yeah. I mean, so, there's different ideas as to what they are. Some people think they're demonic, and others may believe that there's some sort of extraterrestrial or spirits, or, I don't know. I have no idea what they are, where they come from, but I believe that I can say very confidently that they're almost always malicious. I've never heard of one time where a shadow person has been benevolent in any way.
Yeah. Roger Carter, any more shapeshifter stories? Of course. There are a lot of those. Especially lately, I've gotten like a flood of them. Corey Cole, have you ever fought a Polynesian or Hawaiian? Those suckers. Yeah, I used to have an old roommate that was Samoan, and we got into about 3 fights. He attacked me at the bar at the club we worked at because I gave him a direct order, and he just told me to go F myself. We called him Moo. That was his nickname. He wore it with pride, like, he thought it was a cool nickname, Shamu. And that's what we literally called him. And he punched me from behind, and I turned around and we got into a knockdown drag out, which I ended up on top and began to ground and pound, and then I was pulled off of him. And then later on there was another fight, which I hit him with a 5-gallon water jug, and it exploded on him, culminating with him going away for years and then coming back and then deciding that he had been in Oakland doing all this training and was ready to beat me up. And when he came back, we didn't even actually fight the next time. It was just me slapping him and taking jewelry off of him. My friend Willie was there with me, and my friend Jack. And then I got into a fight at the bar that I used to work at when I went in there to get drunk one night, and ended up getting into a fight with 3 Tongans. Actually 4, I'm embarrassed to say, but the one that hit me the hardest turned out to be a female, which I did not know at the time was a female. But it was a female, yes, and she was wearing a flannel shirt, and I did not know until afterwards that it was a female. And she probably hit me the hardest of the 4 guys. And it wasn't just me by myself, it was me and some of the bouncers that were working there at the time. I wasn't working there at the time, but I definitely got the better of at least 2 or 3 of them. Kind of weird, though. The one that gave me the hardest punch was actually a woman. I'll never forget that. Because then I was being called out afterwards saying, "Oh, you hit this girl," and I'm like, and no, Derek, people don't steadily try to fight me. I was hanging out at the club. I'll tell you what happened. I was hanging out at the end of the bar where I always hung out at, and I would drink, and it's a hip hop bar, and I don't really hang out in hip hop bars, but obviously something was wrong with me because I would go into bars where there were lots of fights and stuff because subconsciously I probably wanted to do it. I wanted to go in there and fight with people, and that's where you go if you're going to fight with people is a bar like that, and they were pretty good at that time about patting people down, so you didn't have to worry about getting shot. You could just beat the crap out of people. So it was a recipe for insanity. So I would go in there and get drunk when I was angry, and I would sit at the end of the bar and have a good time, a little bit of a good time until something popped off, which it usually did. So I'm sitting there drinking my drink, and one of the bouncers who used to work there, his name was Phil. He was a full-blooded Chippewa Indian. He comes and tells me, "Hey, there's these guys on the dance floor, and they're starting crap. They're big dudes, man." Well, they were Tongans, and he was saying that there was going to be a fight. And I was like, "Okay, well, thanks for telling me. I don't work here. It's not my problem." And one of the seven, one of the guys that worked there, came to me and said, "Hey, my friend, there's a problem. I got these big guys. They don't want to leave. So can you help us throw them out?" Well, I didn't even know who they were. When I walked up, I see these 4, hill giants. They were big guys, man. They're big dudes. And one of them was drinking the beer, like all in the bouncer's face, challenging the bouncers to throw him out. And me being pretty lit, with a zero crap tolerance, I just smacked the bottle into his teeth and it broke into his mouth. And then I just began to punch him about the face, breast, chest, neck, and head area, along with his friends who got punched in the face, breast, chest, neck, and head area, along with their back and legs and everything else. And I kicked one of them so hard that I pretty much cracked his femur with a shin kick, which is why my shins, if you look at my shins, are all knotted up and tore up because of what happened. And so one of them had like long hair and braids, whatever, and I slung him onto the bar and his teeth went flying across the bar. And there were several people that witnessed this too. It wasn't like, my friend Squid was working there at the time. There's a lot of people that were around that saw it happen. It's just no make-believe story. It's just the truth. And so just basically knocked them on their butt over and over again. They just kept getting back up. I didn't knock them out. Those guys saying they have hard heads. Maybe I don't know. I don't know if they have any harder heads than anyone else, but they are Polynesian people and they are pretty tough. And I got a few marks on me, but I wasn't like really hurt that bad. My hand got cut, but definitely we won. I did anyway. 2 of the bouncers got knocked out. One of them had to go to the hospital and get stitches. He didn't go unconscious, though, to his credit, but he fell and hit the dance floor, the edge of the dance floor. But yeah, then we get outside and the police are trying to make tales of who's who and what did what, and this woman's like standing there breathing hard, and this other girl's out there, and she's like, I guess with one of those guys, and she was like, "Oh, you're a big man hitting a girl," and I'm like, hitting a girl, and I look over. And Anthony, you know this story.
No.
And she had a flannel shirt that was now off, and she was wearing like a white shirt underneath it, and I could see the cleavage, and I was like the breasts, whatever, and I was like, what? I did not know that was a female. She was about 6'2". So yeah, she was pretty tough. The other 3 were pretty messed up. One of them, his eye was crossed, which happens when you get the heck beat out of you. And so yeah, they ended up hurt pretty bad. Like I said, I almost got arrested. I got told to go back inside, and that was the end of it. I had to push my hair down a little bit there, guys. And yeah, that was all that happened. But whatever.
So Ken Accelerate says, what's the most common cryptid reports you get from the UK?
From the UK, I would say Dogman. I get a lot of weird, like werewolf type stories from the UK. Not just because everybody says that the werewolf is different than Dogman. I get stories of like these like creatures that I don't know what the difference is if they're a Dogman or a werewolf, but you get stories, like Paul Sinclair. Like he gets the same stuff. Like he gets stories from the UK, but I don't get a lot. And I've only gotten a couple that were kind of like something that could be considered a Bigfoot, maybe, I know that recently there was a big argument in one of the groups that Ryan is in, and one ridiculous Dogman whisperer, supposed researcher guy, began to argue with him about what a Gugwe is and what a Dogman is and how you can possibly know these things. I have no idea. There is no class that you can take that's going to tell you this is a Dogman, this is a Gugwe, this is a Bigfoot, this is a werewolf. How do you even know that? And for people who have shows and have claim to have people coming on and that are, experts in this field and that can tell you what these creatures are, that's pretty amazing, because I've been doing this research for 30 years and I haven't figured it out. So this person says no Dogman in the UK. It's rubbish. Whatever you want to say, man. People say that about Australia too.
There's a lot of landmass in the UK. Unless you've traversed every acre of it, can't really say, no, this creature doesn't exist here, but whatever.
And maybe those aren't dogmen. Maybe those are some sort of interdimensional wolf-like creatures. They're upright canids. That's why most of the authors and most of the researchers and most of the serious podcasters will tell you that they are upright canids. You know, that's another thing that me and Lon Strickler talked about. He calls them upright canids because that's what they are. You know, they're upright canids. I mean, you can't say this is a dog man, this is a werewolf, you know, and get some government agent to come and say that that's what they are, because how does that guy know? I mean, come on, dude. Let's use our heads, people. I mean, you know, there's no way to be able to, if you did see one, how can you tell the difference between one or the other? There's so many different types of things, and in between, there's no way to even know. I can't even tell you how many times I've just, you know, I've heard of this guy in that particular group, and I'm so sick of dancing around who he is. I'd like to just scream his name from the rooftops, but I don't want to give him any sort of, I don't want to give him any attention, but he's so annoying.
Because people like that will take any attention they can get, like little kids. A little kid doesn't care if they get negative or positive attention as long as you're paying some attention to them. So,
yeah. I know Ken, my friend Ken Gerhard's been trolling him lately. So if you're listening, douchebag, he's trolling you. So, not you, Ken. You're not the dude. I'm talking about the other guy. He thought he was like really making some headway, getting Ken to believe his hoobamajoo. I'm like, no, you're not. We just laugh. We laugh at you. Hey, Dogman. You, Dogman. I'm talking to you. You go over there. And you stay over there until I tell you you can go. You know why? Because I'm the Dogman Whisperer. When I whisper, the Dogman listens to me. He does what I say. I come to your property. I dig up things. I throw things around. I tell the Dogman, hey, you go. And he goes. Because I am the Dogman Whisperer. And I have a small pack of sycophants from a stupid little group. Is of no consequence. And we start crap with everyone, everywhere we go. Because these things are 100% flesh and blood. I know. Because they have anal glands. Couldn't help it, folks. Sorry. It's my alter ego. Somebody asked me why I have such a bone to pick with that guy. And I'm like, because he's a fraud. Because he's fake. Because he's a liar. He's got no proof. And he never will. And that's why. Very simple. The Dogman Whisperer. I come riding in on my horse with my whip, and I tell the Dogman to go.
We don't need no stinking Dogman.
We don't need your stinking Dogman here. We don't need no evil Dogman. Do I get European stories from? Yes, I do. Actually,
Have a
Angel Martin.
yeah.
Thank you for the donation, Angel.
She says, "I'm in Tennessee by Lookout Mountain. Any Tennessee stories, etc."
There's always Tennessee stories. Dogman is it's a hotbed for Dogman. Are you guys looking for me to tell those stories right now, or are you just wanting to know if they're there? Because we tell most of the stories on the show on Fridays. Does anybody have any questions about the past episodes, shows? You want to know anything you want to know about the shows? Because it's kind of what I'm looking for. Any Hawaiian dog man? I've gotten stories of like shapeshifters. I've gotten stories of like Bigfoot type, like I guess they're like Bigfoot type creatures, but not really dogman so much in Hawaii. Ghoul, rake. When Ryan gets his self together, and we're going to do a show about the rake. Ain't it right, Ryan? We're going to do a show about the rake, and we're going to do one about Goatman. So we're just waiting. I think you're supposed to be getting a laptop, Ryan. So when that happens, Ryan's supposed to price it out for me, and we're going to help him pay for it, folks, because of the donations y'all were generous enough to give us to this past month. So that money is going to be allocated toward helping him get his... Hey, Regina.
Oh, hey, Mom.
We were just talking about you, about your mini stroke you had.
Yeah, and a lot of our listeners who are in here right now are giving up lots of prayers for you and for Tim Marianne. Let's see.
Ryan said he's ready to rock. He's got this computer. If things go according to plan, I'm planning on recording tomorrow with the Hernandez Ranch story I'm going to be doing that I've been researching. But it's also tax season, so I got that going on too. I got a million things I got to take care of. Just overwhelming. And then me and Ryan should be good to go and try to get the Goatman story recorded.
Jag1937 says, I realize this is sexist, but where are all the dog women?
They're there. I mean, some of them are male, some are female. We just don't go into...
I mean, I would imagine that most people who see these things are not exactly looking for that. They just see it and want to go away. I've got a donation from Oilfield Trash 87, which earlier he clarified that's Luke. Was it Luke? I can't remember his last name.
Penton?
Didn't we have him on the show?
Luke Tice?
Tice? Is it Tice?
Is that Luke Tice? Luke, is that you?
I think so.
Yeah, because Penton wouldn't be working in the oil fields.
But yeah, he gave us a $5 donation, so thank you very much for that. It's much appreciated.
Double A, why are you glad I took the hat off?
Oh, he made a comment earlier saying that it was a gross hat. He must be a dirty Yankees fan.
Well, Yankees cheated and got away with it. They got their record sealed. Y'all are pinky up.
Probably
Texas team gets in trouble for doing what everybody else does, and they turn it into a year-long crucifixion of it. So I'm supposed to be doing a podcast pretty soon with anybody knows Smackola from the Dirty Worms. I don't know if anybody knows who that is, but I'm supposed to be on his podcast coming up pretty soon. Just wondering if there'd be an audience for that. It says, do you watch anime Paranormal Round Table? Yes. I watched the old ones like Ninja Scroll and The Fist of the North Star. Fist of the North Star is probably my all-time favorite movie ever.
Yeah, Fist of the North Star is one of the best anime movies.
The anime.
Yeah.
Not the live action. That was terrible.
Oh, I haven't even bothered watching it.
I started watching it like It's like when they try to do He-Man with Dolph Lundgren. It's terrible. I mean, Dolph Lundgren. But it's just that Ryan's asking, are we covering the rake first or the goat man? Whatever you want to cover, Ryan. I just thought goat man because we were doing the art contest for the goat man. Curtis Turner's asking, how's my mom? My mom, like I said earlier, she's still in the hospital, and they're thinking they're going to let her go, and then they're going to bring her back in for a surgery. It's the weirdest. I mean, I don't even know what to think of this COVID stuff. It's just weird. I don't even know how to, it's not something they would do during a normal time. You would go into the hospital and that would be it. I mean, you'd be in there,
We have a question from earlier from Gregory Ellison saying, what do you know about little people? Or what about little people do you know?
Got lots of stories about them. We have enough to do another show, but we're in the middle of doing like the Dogman stuff right now.
Yeah, one of our early episodes we did about that. I can't remember the episode number, but if you just type in a search in YouTube, just type in like Paranormal Round Table, goblins, imps, because the name of that episode is something like grotesque goblins, insidious imps, and something else. But just type in Paranormal Round Table, goblins, imps, and it should come up.
The first Hernandez Ranch story, to answer that question, somebody just asked a question. See if I can find it, what they just said.
Oh, in the meantime, Adventure Vic, thank you for your donation of $4. So what podcast number has the first Hernandez Ranch story? So that's what you're looking for right now?
Yeah. What the heck is going on here? This thing's not showing me the chat. Can you do that real quick?
Yeah.
My phone has just been acting weird lately. Thank you, Adventure Vic. It's a pretty cool name.
Like that?
Yeah. I don't know how I got.
Let me see if I can search and answer your question, Adventure Vic. Let's see. Okay, so that would be episode 100. It's called Dogman Special: Return to Hernandez Ranch.
Yeah, that was the episode that we did. He's asking for the first.
The Dogman Encounters?
Yeah, the first one would be Dogman Encounters with Vic Cundiff, and that would be episode 136, I believe. So, yeah, and you gave that donation, and so I felt obligated to. Because apparently if you give a donation, according to Anthony, I have to answer you or he attacks me.
Well, yeah.
He throws things at me.
Well, the listeners should attack you too. They should attack you in the comments. They should tear you to pieces for ignoring someone who was generous enough to donate money. Or not noticing.
Thank you, folks.
Tell them how awful you are. No, I'm just kidding. No, seriously. These live streams, as you see, there's 201 people in here right now, and when they get really busy, that we've had up to like 300 people, and when Wolf's in the middle of responding to one question, another one will come up, and then like a super sticker or a super chat will come up, and it just sometimes they go by so fast, and when he's in the middle of talking, you can't always just stop and address each one right at that time. So it's not that he's ignoring you. I'm just making a joke, but yeah, it's just you can only talk so quickly before one thing after another pops up.
Yeah, and the other thing I was going to ask you folks, the kind folks at home watching this, give me your comments, and then if you miss the chat, the super chat or whatever it's called, and live chat, and you go back and you're watching this after the fact, which a lot of people do, then just leave a comment in the comments section. and tell me what you guys want to hear, want to hear about, because we're doing, several weeks of the Dogman thing, and then we're going to take a break from that, and we're going to switch up gears, and I have a lot of stuff to talk about. There's a lot of ghost stuff I got. It's pretty scary stuff. And I got a lot of other types of cryptids and alien abduction and stuff like that. There's a lot of it. There's a lot of stuff. But give me your opinions right now in the live chat. Tell me what you think. What do you want to hear? Do you want to hear about little people? So we do an episode on that because we got material for that. Do you want to hear about the Goat Man? Do you want to hear about flying cryptids? Do you want to hear about ghosts or spirits, demons, angels? What do you want to hear about? Let me know. Black-eyed kids, centaurs. I got 3 centaur stories. Yes, Curtis, Ryan, we did drop in episode 3. We've only done 3 episodes for a Whisper to a Scream, but we're hoping to get back on track and start dropping them regularly. I thought about that, doing a state-by-state series. I know David Weatherly just did his Creatures from the Tar Heel State. He just dropped that with North Carolina. So yeah, but he's kind of doing that though. He's going state by state, and he's dropping the books about the different creatures. We're gonna be, let's see.
Angel Martin says, I'm curious about these weird bird-like demons I keep hearing about.
Be more specific. Bird-like demons.
I think on the Mexican folklore episodes we talk about the lechuza, which might be along the lines of what she's talking about. Here's a good question. Nathan Burr says, any Minotaur stories? When do you plan on doing the Greek episode?
I've only gotten like 1 or 2 stories of a Minotaur, and one of them was like, well, one of them was, I don't know, it was in a cave. It almost sounded like Choose Your Own Adventure or something. I don't know. It was weird, and so I'm not really feeling that one. And that person, I kind of lost any communication, and I was like, I don't know about that. But so I got one that was somebody in a barn. I could put it on a potluck, I guess. I'll write that down. I didn't really know what to do with it. I was hoping and waiting that someone else would come up with something, but there are a couple that these Goatman stories could be a Minotaur type creature. I'll tell it eventually. Stories about people with paranormal abilities. Oh yeah, there's some weird stuff out there, dude. There's people who that people have seen people do things that defy any explanation.
And thank you for that $3 super chat, Adventure Vic. Got someone whose name I won't attempt to pronounce asking, hey guys, what do you make of the telepathic warnings that witnesses get from their Dogman encounters? Is it a primal thing, or are these creatures really trying to tell them something? Well, I mean, in my opinion, if anything, it would indicate that there is a spiritual aspect to some of these encounters.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I highly doubt just a regular flesh and blood cryptid has telepathic abilities. It's either something spiritual, extraterrestrial, no idea. But definitely more than flesh and blood, whatever it is.
The Clever Conquistador. Funny name. I appreciate everybody with the prayers and the thoughts and going out. My mom tries to watch my show when she can. She'll check it out, and stuff, and we were all touched by the outpouring of prayer and feelings and thoughts that were being put out there on the Paranormal Round Table group. Abnormally giant insect stories stimulate if you consider like the praying mantis creatures, which I'm about to do a show about them because I think I'm about ready to drop a good one on them. They need to be exposed. They're evil selves. No, I mean, it says here, what it say? It says, I feel like I'm going to be attacked. What you say?
Oh, it says, I'm going to be attacked, but I really think all the dogmen are supernatural. Am I the only one?
No, you're not.
Definitely not.
I think that too. It's pretty much. Oilfield Trash 87. Is that the other? Is that the same Oilfield Trash? It's a different one.
It's the same. No, it's the same guy. And then that's
it's got a female's profile.
Luke. No, that's a male. That's a guy. That's him and his.
Oh, okay. Yes. Sorry, Luke. It says, has anything recent happened around Taylor, Texas?
Yeah.
Can't think of anything like recent. There's a lot of weird stuff that happens around there, though. Just, I mean, what was where we were at my aunt and uncle's the other day? We were talking about some stuff around Taylor. What did we get into? We got into some stuff over there. I can't remember what all we were talking about, but there was something. Oh, my aunt. My aunt had an experience with. First, she saw what was like an angel at the side of her bed, and then 2 weeks later, she saw what was like a demonic entity, and on the other side of the bed, but like 2 weeks apart, and it really bothered her. So that was pretty disturbing. Was I in the area that had snow? Yes, like 2.5 feet. Yeah, you're right. We don't get attacked here. It says you don't get attacked in PRT groups. Josh and his crew doing a good job. Yeah, we don't. We don't let people get attacked. That's not something that we do. It says, Brad Stone, prayers for your family. We love your show. Thank you, Brad. And also, if any of you people out there that are listening, whether you're in the chat now or you watch the show later or whatever, if you want to be friends on Facebook, I had literally 4,000 something friends at one time on that account, and I cleared out like a couple thousand people just so I could make room for my listeners. And I was told by another podcaster, and she was like, you should have kept all those people on there so you could invite them to try to like your fan page, and you do all this and that, and invite them to the groups and all that. And then, if you want later, then you can tell, you can kick them off or whatever. And I'm like, I'm not going to do that because I'm not, and that's what she wants to do. That's fine. I mean, that's how you want to grow. That's what you can do. It's whatever you got to do. But I just can't I can't be around people who I don't know them and they don't know me in my real life, and they don't know anything about my show. And when I say something about my show, they're like, "What's that?" And then I want my page on my personal Facebook to be people who are into the paranormal, and I know they are because they're members of my group. They listen to the show, they follow the PRT, whatever, and we're all a family. We're all together. We're all in this together. And I'm open to talking to people anytime. You can message me anytime. I try to message to answer every single message on Messenger. the email gets really backed up. So sometimes Messenger is the better way. But if you're out there and you don't do Facebook, consider doing Facebook just for the sake of following PRT on the groups and joining, so we can interact and you can talk to me. And anytime, if you send me a story, I'll try to respond. I probably get 20, 30 messages a day on Messenger that aren't even like, paranormal related, but they're listeners that send me their stuff, and I try to talk to them and deal with them as, and answer people as best I can, And so just send me a friend request and say, hey, I am a listener of your show. And so I know that you're a listener of my show, then I'll approve your friend request, and you'll be there until you do something bad, or you mess with somebody. Bobby Hill, I understand how you feel. I don't really like it either, but it is a way for us to all communicate and so if you don't do it for any other reason, just do it to join the PRT groups, Paranormal Round Table, Paranormal Lounge, Paranormal Encounters, and A Whisper to a Scream. And then that's it. And then you can go on your way and just check in with us, and then we can talk on Messenger or whatever, or eventually we can maybe trade phone numbers and, we can talk. There's a lot of people who I've spoken to and gotten their shows. How do you think, their stories? How do you think I get my stories? You got to talk to people. I talk to a lot of really nice people all the time. Some people, very, very few, aren't always nice. Can be kind of grouchy, or they can be a little upsetting if you're not careful, but you got to have a thick skin, and I've had people tell me, guy the other day I was talking to, and he's like, what makes you an expert in this field? And I said, absolutely nothing, sir. And he was like, I like your answer. And then he started telling me his story. I have nothing that makes me an expert other than my own experience and then having fielded 1,000 reports about weird stuff. So whatever, it is what it is. The guy has a good point, Ryan, about getting a tier program to help fund your equipment. Because if you look at Ryan's shows, the first 3 shows we've done, he's gotten thousands of views on those shows. If he had the subscriber numbers, he'd be, So I encourage everyone to please go to A Whisper to a Scream podcast on YouTube and subscribe for Ryan. Because if anybody deserves it, it's him. He's a good guy. We both have mothers that are ill. It's not something I want to have in common with my friend, but it is what it is. Life sucks sometimes, man. Yes, Curtis, me and Tony did make that claim. However, it has been scientifically proven now by Anthony that we are not experts. He says that we are not experts. Right, Anthony?
Yeah, and if I'm saying that, it's got to be right. So
yes, because he is actually an expert.
I'm an expert on the fact that you two specifically are not experts. That's about it. That's where my expertise ends.
He said it. Gotta be true. Came from the internet. Do I have any more collabs with Vic? Actually, me and Vic were just talking about that. We were talking about that on the air last week. I had Vic on the show at the end of the show. After I had Nick Redfern and Lyle Blackburn, Ken Gerhard, I just called up my guys and my friends and said, hey, and some of those were cold calls, actually, believe it or not. Like I had messaged them and say, hey, how about if I call you one day on my live, would you be up, whatever. And they weren't really doing much during the week because everybody was snowed in. So they said, yeah, sure, whatever. If you feel like, and if you answer, you don't, whatever. And so I called today. It's me, and they answered the phone. And Vic was the last person I called. And then there was one other friend that I tried to call who didn't answer. And unfortunately, his phone number got put out there, but we covered it up. And that was not Vic. So I wish you people would quit calling my friend, because he was kind of upset about that. And it was a technical malfunction. I could not get the thing to stop. But But anyways, people thought it was Vic, so they started blowing up that phone number. Those guys, those are friends of mine, and I have plans to do collaborations with all of them. You know, we're you know, it's just there's just so much going on. I got only so much I can do, so many hours in the day. But definitely with Vic, I mean, he's going to come on the show at some point. You know, when I get the time to have him on to coordinate it, and do I have any plans on going back on his show? I don't know, because my Dogman stuff is this Hernandez Ranch is all I've been working on lately. I've been kind of dealing with that, and I've gotten the next episode ready to go. Just tying up the loose ends. And so unless I was going to go on his show and give him my Hernandez Ranch, the Return to Hernandez Ranch Part 2, which I didn't have any plans on that, and Vic's got plenty of people, he's got plenty of stuff going on. So, I mean, there's only one person that's ever gone on Vic's show that I absolutely will not listen to. But other than that, there's, I don't listen to his show very often, but every now and then somebody will say, hey, check out this, segment of what this guy, and I'll check it out and pop in or whatever. But I guess that's it for today, folks. We did, what is it? 3 hours, right?
Yeah, just about. So,
sorry, I'm just kind of out of it. I've been really just a lot of stuff going on. Just very hard. Life has been kind of kicking me in the teeth a little bit, folks. But what are you gonna do? You can't kick rocks. You got to kick back, and you got to keep going. The next few weeks will be very trying, but a lot of people are going through a lot of stuff. So I'm not going to roll around and cry and feel bad about my situation. Everybody's got their own stuff going. All right, guys. I love you all. Thank you to everybody for tuning in and talking to us. And what was that?
I guess that was Nick.
Weird.
Yeah. But thank you for all your questions. Thank you for all your super chats, your super stickers. Thank you for subscribing, for liking, for commenting, for just supporting the show in every way that you do it.
And Daryl Zerline, keep your chin up. Yeah, I will. I always do. I've been through worse. This too will pass. Everything, evil will have its night, and it'll have its day, and it'll be destroyed like always. The darkness can only do so much. And we all know how it all ends in the end. And no matter what happens, no matter what it takes from you, God lifts you up, and you'll be fine. Folks, I want to say something before I get out of here. Remember this, that even if you were to drop dead, and now this is a morbid thing to say, I guess, but even if you were to drop dead, remember, if you're right with God, you're fine. And I really believe that. And I want you to know that we are energy. We are all energy. And I think that, when you pass and you die, that you might be out of your body, but you're still a form of energy. And that energy goes on, and it continues to do whatever it does. And speaking of that, a lot of these things that people see with the cryptids and the spirits and all that, I think one of the things people need to realize is that I think maybe these things are able to just be the energy that they are without having to have a body, or that they can use or make a body at will. That's something to think about too. They're just on a higher vibrational plane than we are, or they're on a different vibrational plane than we are. And when the evil has this big old bag of tricks, you better have your bag of tricks ready too. Because what seems to be happening in this world, and I'm going to leave you with this to think about and ponder, it seems that the evil knows it's in a fight. And it's fighting tooth and nail. It's doing everything it could possibly do. The darkness is swinging left and right and throwing punches and kicks. And they're using their symbolisms. They're using their evil, just their unholiness. And the good has been hamstrung. And I think that it's kind of sitting back, getting punched and kicked and not really responding. Because I think a big part of our arsenal has been taken away from us. Now I see Angel Martin, I know you, we are friends, but we don't totally agree on everything. I believe in faith, and I believe in prayer, and I believe in all that, 100%. But I do believe that our Bible has been shortchanged. I believe that it has been messed with, like tampered with. And I think that we're missing a lot of it. I think we're missing big parts of it. If you're going in armed with just the King James version of the Bible, I think you're letting the other side have the upper hand. You're not gathering all the information that you can possibly have to go in and defeat the darkness. And the darkness is going to win a lot of battles, believe me, before the war is over. But in the end, the war will go our way, and the light will overcome. I've had my battles with all kinds of stuff. You know, I had problems with substance and problems with booze, and you know, just getting into fights all the time and doing all those silly things I did back in my life. And I made it out from the other end. And I think that everybody should look into the different gospels. The Gnostics, they have a lot to say. Look into the other religions too. I'm not saying to convert from your Christian belief or your Muslim belief or your Buddhist belief, but look at it all as a whole, because I think every religion has a piece of the puzzle. Christ was gone for 20 years. What do you think he was doing? Where do you think he was at? It's pretty interesting. He traveled all over the East, and he came back. When he came back, he was like, "You're wrong. You know, you're not correct." And he was crucified. And so when you look at, and not to get real preachy or anything, but when you look at the way of the world and the way things are, one of the things that my nephew here, Anthony, he's kept me grounded with this. He says, in the big scheme of things, what is it you always say, Anthony? In the big scheme of things, what does it matter? Because in the end, we know how it ends.
Yeah, I mean, it's like if you're feeling frustrated with like, okay, why does evil always win, or why is it that the good die young and the worst people just live on and on and on and on, and it seems like nothing bad happens to them, and they have it all. But you know, you got to understand, this life is fleeting, and this life and everything in it is going to go right back into the ground from where it came, and what you're going to be left with is eternity. And you know, the life we live here is just a blink of an eye. So, I mean, yeah, if you're frustrated, if you see an evil, awful person and they have all the money in the world, it seems like they just have it all. Well, yeah, for now, but what is that going to be worth once their soul is rotten? I mean, where are you going to be for eternity? And then where are they going to be for eternity? And just take solace in that. Because there's absolutely nothing that you can do to eradicate evil or to change the world. Nothing. You can only hope to change and to better your own small corner of the world. But you will never, ever, ever do anything to change the world for the better. It's going to be what it's going to be. You're just one man or one woman. And, you know, you can't get frustrated with why the world is the way it is. You don't have to like it, but you do have to accept it. And like I said, in the grand scheme of things, I mean, if the evil wants to take root and take over this entire planet, let them have it. because that's all they're gonna have is dirt. And when their time comes, and they're on the other side, where are they gonna be? It's gonna be in an unimaginably awful place.
Yeah, because the way I believe, and I'm gonna say this, and then I'm gonna get out of here. The way I believe is we're in the Kali Yuga, and the further you go into the Kali Yuga, the worse it gets. And so you don't want to have to come back and do this again and again and again, because if you do, it's only going to get worse and worse and worse and worse. And if you don't know what that is, look it up. Because and it's weird, because in the Hindu belief, it almost mirrors the Christian belief. They have Krishna, Kali Krishna. He comes back, and he is look at the name Krishna. It's very similar to Christ. He comes back, and he has to get rid of all the bad guys and turn the world the right way, and everybody gets judged. Same thing happens in the Christian belief. The Muslims actually believe that Christ will return too. It's very weird how the Muslims and the Christians are at each other's throats, but their beliefs are very similar. And in all the major religions, it's the same thing. There's this horrible time period that we live in, and then the good guy comes back and saves the day. But not until there's a lot of bad stuff that happens, and a lot of people get wiped out and washed away. Well, that's what happens, and you have to endure. And if you're here and you're having to endure this, then your karma has put you here. When people tell me this, they always say, well, it is for a man to live and die. And I'm sure, Angel Martin, you can tell me this passage. You've put it on there multiple times. It is for a man to live and die but once. I believe that's true in this body. Like, there will never be another Josh Turner. I'm not going to come up and start living and walking around, moving around again, because this ain't the Walking Dead. And Anthony will be gone, and we'll be gone, and we're not going to come back in this body. As it is for you to live and die in this body once. But I still believe that you may have to come back till you get it right. And that's my belief, and that's my right to believe that. And that's what I've been shown. That's kind of what I feel and believe. But because Jesus says you have to be born again, I believe you have to be born again more than just in the spirit. And if you get it right, though, you can go. The good thing about the Kali Yuga is that if you figure it out and you ask Christ to accept you and to you can move on. I mean, and of course in their belief it's to ask Krishna, but in our belief it's to ask Christ. It's very similar. And this person here says God doesn't go by karma. You're still going to have to pay for everything you've done in one form or another. Whether you believe it or not, I'm telling you right now, you will have to pay. I mean, some of the Christians I've met and Muslims will be like, oh, I did all these horrible things, but I prayed to Christ / Allah, whatever, and now I'm forgiven, and I don't have to worry about none of those things I did. All that stuff's done. I'm done. I feel bad about it, so I'm good. That's not true. I mean, you will have to pay. There's a balance that has to take place. It doesn't mean that you're going to go to hell, but you will have in some form or another to answer for what you've done. There is going to be a reckoning. That's what I'm trying to tell you. And I don't want to sit here and get into all this whole biblical thing or whatever. Or
I mean, whether it's in this life or the next,
you will pay.
Everyone will be held accountable in some form, in some life.
Yeah.
This one or the one on the other side.
Yep. So just try to do the best you can and be the best you can. And in my belief, I believe in accepting Christ is very important. But you have to find your own truths and try to get out of here before this thing gets worse and worse. And then you end up, it ends, and then you go to a bad place. It's even worse. All right, guys. Everybody, we're going to sign off.